We are surrounded by more information than any generation in history, yet the noise often makes actual understanding harder to find. It is a world built on speed and calculation, where the quiet of the mind is a rare commodity. Bowman spent 32 years navigating this landscape from the inside. As a mathematician and college lecturer, his life was defined by what could be measured, proven, and taught within a lecture hall. But he eventually hit a wall. He realized that for all its precision, mathematics couldn't map the internal experience of consciousness. The numbers were clear, but the person behind them remained a mystery. He left his career and his home, trading academic security for the jungles of central India. He spent years in meditation camps, stripped of his titles, looking for a way to experience the mind directly, rather than just calculating its output. For Bowman, the logic he had mastered became a ceiling. To reach what lay above it, he had to abandon the intellectual systems he had spent his entire life building. This search eventually brought him to Auroville, an experimental township in South India dedicated to the idea that humanity is a transitional being in the middle of an evolutionary process. Here he found Barbara, a healer who has spent decades in the community. She doesn't approach her work with a clinical or psychological lens, but as an evolutionary adventure, centered on the body itself. The session begins with Bowman lying on his back, eyes closed. There is no diagnostic talk or complex preparation, just the simple act of lying still and waiting. In this room, the work isn't about effort or analysis. It requires a specific kind of surrender, the willingness to put aside the need to control the environment and simply listen. Barbara's role is intentionally passive. She describes it as doing nothing, emptying her own thoughts so that she doesn't distort whatever energy enters the space. There is no physical manipulation during the healing. Instead, the session is built around sound, a specific set of audio frequencies designed to reach the parts of the being that words cannot. The first layer is the music of Sunil, ethereal, one-note compositions that avoid traditional melodies to prevent the brain from falling into familiar patterns. Layered over the music is the voice of Mother Meera, the founder of Auroville. She is heard speaking the lines of Savitri, an epic poem about the soul's journey beyond death. Barbara views this voice as a direct channel. In her eyes, the mother acts as a mouthpiece, bringing a specific vibration into the room that challenges the mortal body's habitual density. The session creates a unique triangle: the calibrated sound, the silent conduit of the healer, and the receptive state of the subject. This diagram shows the 3 distinct layers at work during the session. We have the frequency of the sound, the conduit of the healer, and the integration within the subject. The sound enters the room, and because Barbara has emptied her own presence, that frequency passes through the conduit without being filtered or blocked by personal ego. Finally, it reaches the integration stage. Bowman's mathematical intellect, the rigid structure at his center, is bypassed, allowing the vibration to touch the underlying architecture of his being. Bowman describes the physical sensation of this bypass as a feeling of profound lightness. He is no longer calculating his experience, he is simply existing within it. For a man who lived by logic, the session proved that some experiences only become accessible when the analytical mind is finally allowed to rest. As the music stops, the deep immersion of the session ends. Bowman and Barbara return to a normal waking conversation, but the perspective has shifted. During the silence, Bowman experienced a vision of the mother standing on a staircase, a moment that felt more real to him than any mathematical proof he had ever taught. Barbara views these individual moments as part of a larger necessity. To her, this work is about moving beyond the human limit, the mental and physical habits that keep us tethered to old ways of being. She points to the history of the 20th century as evidence of what happens when humanity stays trapped in its old frequencies, a cycle of world wars and environmental disaster. From Barbara's perspective, the aim is to bring a different possibility into the body, a truth consciousness that might offer a way out of these destructive patterns. For Bowman, the session provided the clarity he was looking for in the jungle. He has decided to stay in Auroville permanently, declaring that he is coming back here forever. He is trading the identity of the mathematician who needs to calculate and control for a man who is ready to surrender to what he calls the divine will. His journey suggests that the profound healing he sought couldn't be found through the frantic, outward effort of modern life. It required the courage to be still, the willingness to listen to a different frequency, and the patience to let his own consciousness evolve at its own pace.